Hello everyone, this is the human mechanism. Ever since I showed this off in one of my earlier reviews, people on YouTube and Facebook have been asking me what it was. So I thought I would do a review on it. This is Leonard's the Corps Armored Personnel Carrier. This is one of my prized possessions, not only because it's kind of hard to find nowadays, but also because it's one of my older vehicles. I got this for Christmas 2006, back when I was only 11. Seeing as how this is over a decade old, it's pretty beat up. So this particular version won't be the main example I will be using for this review. I just wanted to show it off because A, this is the one that got everyone's attention, and B, it's a part of my childhood. It might be an old beat up APC, but it's my old beat up APC. It's very dear to my heart. I actually have an example that's in much better condition, even if there are a few things missing. I'll be using this one for most of the function demonstrations. Now, I know what we're all thinking. How does this stand up to the 1983 GI Joe Amphibious Personnel Carrier? I'll sprinkle in some comparisons here and there. If I were to point to a vehicle the Leonard APC is based on, it definitely has a strong resemblance to the 6x6 version of the French VAB. Of course, it's not entirely on model, but the resemblance is definitely there. Now, keep in mind, this is a toy for kids, so detailing might be at a minimum. It's fair enough, though. Exhaust pipes, vents, spare wheels, and jerry cans can be seen on the vehicle, including what appears to be a blanket. This is something that could easily be lost. Definitely keep an eye out for it. The bottom of the vehicle is exceptionally detailed. It's kind of funny, the GI Joe APC is in a similar situation, where the detailing on the top of the vehicle is so-so, yet when you look at the bottom, bam! Look at all that molded detailing. I just don't get it. Why the hell did these guys spend so much time on the bottom of the vehicle? One thing I really like are the retracting armor plates on the windows. I think that's a very nice touch. The weaponry is an obvious afterthought. There's this rather distracting bar on the top of the APC that's only there for you to attach missile launchers to. These missile launchers were universal amongst the core vehicles in the 1990s and the early 2000s. And to the surprise of absolutely no one, I think the APC looks better without them. Now we move on to carrying capacity. Similar to its 1983 Hasbro counterpart, the front of the Leonard APC can flip forward, revealing a driver and passenger seat. Pretty standard. Now we move on to where the magic really happens. The top of the back crew compartment can split open. Now, with that said, is the Leonard APC carrying capacity on par with the 1983 GI Joe vehicle? The answer is no. The GI Joe Amphibious Personnel Carrier wins hands down. Before we even get to how many figures it can carry, something has to be said regarding the ease of getting the figures in the vehicle. If you look at the inside of the Leonard APC, there are pegs for feet. Getting these figures on the pegs is an absolute bitch. I am not joking. So if anyone is wondering if the Leonard Personnel Carrier is compatible with vintage or modern Joes, it is. But don't even think about using those pegs. They were not designed for GI Joe figures. So I gave up halfway through and just started shoving figures in the vehicle. The most I was able to fit, including the two in the front compartment, was 18. So it doesn't hold a candle to the GI Joe APC's 28 figure capacity. However, one thing I really like is on the back of the vehicle, a door folds downward, which is a great bit of detail that really makes it feel like an actual armored personnel carrier. If the Leonard APC does have something over its GI Joe counterpart, it's definitely the fact that despite the two giant holes on the top of the vehicle, the Leonard APC makes it feel like the crew is buttoned up, meaning the vehicle is sealed as much as possible. Whereas I always felt that the GI Joe APC was more of a really weird looking cargo truck, especially with that canvas covering that obviously wouldn't protect troops from much of anything. Even if we were to pretend that there was metal underneath the canvas, or perhaps the canvas was reinforced with Kevlar, you still have to deal with the fact that the troops are exposed at the rear of the vehicle. Then again, the A stands for amphibious, not armored. So the result from the battle between the two are that both have advantages over each other. The opening crew compartment on the Leonard vehicle is very nice, and a huge improvement over the 1983 GI Joe APC, which involves squeezing the canvas cover inwards and pulling the entire thing off. It's not as bad as I'm making it sound, I just think the Leonard version is a bit more realized. But the trade-off is that the GI Joe APC can carry a lot more troops and was also designed to float, whereas the Leonard version was not. However, I don't think I would choose one over the other. So, what's my opinion on the Lanard APC by itself? Well, let's just say this. I have a lot of APCs, or vehicles with personnel carrying capabilities. If I did not have the GI Joe APC, the Lanard version would be my favorite out of all of them. It's pretty much what everyone thinks about when they hear armored personnel carrier. Functionality aside, it's a very minimalist, realistic vehicle, and a symbol of what Lanard's The Corps used to be, before they switched to more over-the-top vehicles. The new Corps Elite stuff is to the Corps what the bright neon colors were to GI Joe. It sort of indicated a break from more traditional realistic designs, and a kind of downfall if you ask me. In many ways, toys like the Lanard APC are a time capsule of sorts. They capture a much different era than what we see today. They symbolize a time where companies had the entertainment of the consumer in mind, rather than ways of saving money. Inevitably, with that latter mindset, things start to suffer, and the results don't look good. So with that said, the Lanard The Corps APC gets a huge seal of approval. See you all later. Yo Joe.